One of the things that Doc is super excited about when he creates the time machine is the possibility of viewing history in person. I would like for us to choose our top 3 moments that we would want to visit in history. But before we do that, let's just throw moments out on the table.
Seen A New Hope in the theater.
Okay. That's a true geek. That is a true geek moment right there.
One of my actual answers is even geekier than that.
I would have loved to visit Disneyland in the 1960s.
Yeah, I think like that's super interesting to me.
Super interesting.
One of my favorite songwriters was a guy named Rich Mullins who died in 1997. I would literally go back and go to another concert of his.
Oh, no way.
Even the same one that I went to. But the ones that I chose, I would like to see a real Old West town.
Like Tombstone back in the day.
Yeah, maybe something that's not quite as dangerous as Tombstone. But honestly, that's part of the reason that I didn't choose a lot of major historical moments.
Because the danger?
Yeah, danger. Like I thought about like the falling of the Berlin Wall. And I'm like, it'd be cool to see that stuff in person, but I might get killed. Like there's just, it's really dangerous. But a nice, safe Old West town I'd like to see. And then this one's really personal. My dad grew up in Huntington Beach. He grew up on a farm in Huntington Beach.
Which is what in
Which
the
makes
world?
no sense. Yeah, if you know Huntington Beach now, where are they going to put a farm? I would love to go back and see Huntington Beach when my dad was a kid. My number one answer, this is super geeky, but I would love to go back to the late 30s and buy a copy of Action Comics #1 or Detective Comics #27 off of the rack.
Yeah.
Not for financial reasons, not to come back to the present and have millions of dollars, but just to experience that. Just to like walk into a newsstand or whatever and see what else is on the shelf at that time and just see what the world looked like when the dawn of Superman and the dawn of Batman was just on a newsstand anywhere and you could just go buy it.
So I tried to go with the idea of time, not space, that follows the film. Right after World War II, when we declared victory, I wanted to be there like when parades went through the streets and stuff, because I wanted to feel, I just don't feel like anyone knows what American pride is anymore, and I really kind of wanted to know what it is to be like really proud of your country.
Nice.
Number 2 was Disneyland when it first opened. And number 3, I'm a huge fan of Joe Strummer and The Clash, but in his later years, I got to listen to the Mescaleros, and I never got to see them in concert. I really want to go see Joe Strummer in concert.
I did not leave it to just time. I'm all over the place. So I'll give you some of my honorable mentions before I get to my top 3. I'm a big fan of detective fiction from the 1930s. I would love to see Los Angeles at that time. Like there's a book, one of the Dashiell Hammett, might have been Raymond Chandler, I don't know, one of the two. The main character drives from downtown Los Angeles to Pasadena and describes it. And he's driving and leaves the city to drive through countryside until he gets to Pasadena.
Right.
And it's like, what would that be like? I have no concept of that at all. I've got traveling through Asia Minor, so the Mediterranean area, prior to the fall of the Roman Empire. See, I'm all over
that
the place,
is way weird.
That's probably the weirdest one I have on here. Visiting Hawaii in the 1950s and 60s. So this is kind of like after World War II. It's like that whole expansion of the world through the proliferation of travel coming out in the 1950s and 60s. It's the modern world, but the start of it. To be present at the Gettysburg Address would be amazing. So here's my top 3. I apologize for going on for so long on this. To be present to see the Apollo program missions and watch us land on the moon. So I know some
On TV?
Are you on the moon or are you at mission control?
I'd take either of those.
When you're looking at the 1960s and you're like, the future is now, because that was such a huge leap. And now when you're like, oh, Apple has a new phone. Sweet.
Exactly. Can you imagine being a kid and being like, we sent a rocket to the moon?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
When we were orbiting in space at that point in time, I believe it was 66 or 68, they did a live broadcast from the space station where they read A Christmas Story.
No way.
To everyone, like through TV. Like, that is crazy. Like, that's the kind of stuff that would be cool to be like, all right, everybody tune in because you're gonna hear a story
Been
from
so
space
cool.
tonight.
My number 2 is to be president. To be president. No, to be present at Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream speech.
Okay.
I think that would be pretty amazing. My final one, Doc mentions being present at the birth of Jesus, and I think that for me personally, the birth of Jesus would not be as interesting as meeting the adult Jesus. So that's what my number 1 is.
I would love to have been present to hear the original radio broadcast of War of the Worlds.
Oh,
That's a good one.
Yes, that is
And
fantastic.
Just experience that feel. Is this real? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
What's going on?